Take a look at your screen. These are two teenage suspects police are trying to identify in connection with a horrific crime out of Nevada. Now, in addition to those two unknown suspects, 8 other teenagers have been charged with murder after they all allegedly beat one of their classmates to death in an alleyway by the high school. Scripps News Las Vegas has the story and some insight on the legal intricacies of charging minors with murder.
A murder case as shocking as it is tragic. 8 teenagers accused of attacking and killing another teen in a back alley.
All subjects that were arrested in this incident range from the age of 13 to 17. All are juveniles, and all were booked into the Clark County Juvenile Hall on charges of murder.
4 of the suspects are 16 or older, and when it comes to murder, are automatically charged as adults in Nevada, while the other 4 teens are younger, and that means they face a different legal process at the start. Former Clark County District Attorney David Roger.
Juveniles who are less than 16 at the time of the murder have to go through a certification process, and so they're booked into juvenile court, and then the juvenile judge holds a hearing to determine whether to send it to adult court or keep it down in juvenile court.
Channel 13 has learned that a hearing to decide that has been scheduled for next month. It's not the first time this year that Las Vegas juveniles have been accused in a high-profile murder case. Last month, 2 teens were indicted and charged as adults after allegedly using a stolen car in a crime spree that included targeting and fatally running over a bicyclist.
When a tragedy like this happens...
Eve Hannon, a professor at UNLV's Boyd School of Law, says charging young people as adults is likely not the best move.
Especially in murder cases, 13 and up can, in some instances, be tried as adults. However, we have at this point decades now of brain science, which shows that children's frontal lobes are simply not developed like adults.
But the trial judge...
Roger says he understands there's debate on how to charge those under 18, but also cautioned that charges could eventually be added or altered.
It could be second-degree murder. It could be manslaughter.
It's also possible that some of the teens could be charged separately, depending on how their attorneys decide to proceed in their defense.
In the end, we have to trust that the criminal justice system will deal with everybody appropriately.
And on Friday, the 4 teens who were automatically charged as adults made their first appearances in court. Scripps News Las Vegas was there.
All 3 defendants will remain in custody at their current bail setting until the next court date. The court finds good cause to continue this hearing.
In 2 separate hearings, the 4 teens accused in the deadly beating of the Rancho High School schoolmate Jonathan Lewis appeared in court Friday. Bieber Dantrol, Damien Hernandez, and Gianni Robinson appeared together, all handcuffed at the morning hearing, while the third, Trevian Randolph, appeared at an afternoon hearing because of a court scheduling conflict. Clark County Justice Court Judge Daniel Westmeyer ordered the teens to remain in jail without bail until their next court hearing on Tuesday. The teens are facing 1 charge of murder each in the adult system. He also ruled the teens would be tried together.
The court finds good cause to continue this hearing based on the nature of these charges.
The group's initial appearance comes after 8 teens were arrested this week in connection with the deadly beating of Lewis in an alleyway near Rancho High School. Investigators say the fight began over a pair of stolen headphones and a vape pen and was recorded on a video uploaded to social media. The video helped Metro Police track down 8 of the 10 suspects involved in the fatal attack. However, 2 remain at large, and police are actively searching for the 2 suspects. Investigators releasing their pictures, seeking the public's help in finding them. A growing makeshift memorial now sits in the alleyway where Lewis was attacked. An outpouring of love, despair, and anger filled what was a tragic crime scene. Family members of the 4 teens were in court Friday, but declined to speak to media.
All right, let's bring back in the think tank. Still with us, criminal defense attorney Al Wunsch III, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland, and family law attorney Jennifer Brandon. Darnell, I'll start with you. Stolen headphones and I guess a vape pen. This is what results in 8 teens, possibly 10, being charged with murder. Let's start there. Give me your thoughts.
It's hard to even respond. These are very, very, very sad cases. Here in Connecticut, I'm in the Hamptons tonight, but I'm practicing in Connecticut and New York as well. I'm here for a trial actually tomorrow. But in Connecticut, we call these SJOs, serious juvenile offenses. And when they happen, in times before, they would automatically be transferred to adult court. Now they're entitled to a hearing. So those are the legal gymnastics. But when you remove all of that, you have kids who are acting in this herd mentality, and they're following other kids. No one's thinking, and someone dies. And that's the saddest thing that you're ever going to have to grapple with. And then they start talking about, like the young lady who you had in the bump that was talking about frontal lobes not being developed. The seminal case here is Miller versus Alabama, where the Supreme Court found that to sentence a child over 12 years is tantamount to life and is cruel and unusual punishment, because kids change in their mentalities and they grow over time to where they're different people. And so you have to grapple with whether, in fact, these kids should be punished for this gruesome death and versus who they really are and all the sciences behind it. But it's hard. It's never going to be easy. And I can't, even as a defense attorney, tell you that it doesn't break my heart to hear this, even though I'd have to work with the case if it was mine.
Yeah, difficult decisions to be made. And just to be clear, if you're 16 and up, you don't get the opportunity of a hearing. You are automatically charged an adult. It's if you're under 16 that you get the opportunity for a hearing. So, Al, let me ask you, here's what the hearing basically boils down to. The court has to ask, is it in the public interest? And it's a clear and convincingly require transfer to the adult system. The court considers the nature and seriousness of the offense, persistency and seriousness of past offenses, age, maturity, family history. So your thoughts on this? I like it only because it allows the court to deal with it on an individual basis, looking at each individual's involvement and also their backgrounds.
It does. It's a very well thought out recipe, okay, that gets applied with regards to this case when you're taking a look at these children who are murders another child for a pair of earphones and a vape pen, which is probably maybe $100 total, if that. It's a horrific, this is just, I mean, it's ghastly to think that they beat a child to death and then they videotaped it and it went viral. What does that tell us? I mean, this is just absolutely ghastly.
Yeah,
that we do that. I mean, you know, I've been in enough, you know, fights in high school because, you know, you steal the goalposts of your local you know, rival in high school and stuff like that, and you get into a little action. Beating someone to death for a vape pen and headphones is just, it's frightening to me. And these 16-year-olds, and I understand, you know, what the Hamptons wonder down there, Darnell, or what I like to call the not so great Gatsby, was saying about the fact that these, you know, young kids, you know, it is cruel and unusual, and that, you know, someone at the age of 12, you're going into a life sentence and things along those lines. They're not developed, they're not mature, but this is just really going beyond the pale.
Yeah, and again, you know, it's about deterrent. I mean, is this what we need to deter teens from doing this, Jennifer? I've got to ask you, is this in fact a murder case? I mean, you've got, I believe it was 10 to 15 teens involved. They're looking for a couple more. They're only getting 10, but I believe there were even more involved. And again, I don't know why 15 decided to jump this one young man for whatever reason. Is it possible that some of the younger ones could find themselves in a position where they're charged with something less? Because if they are not charged with murder, anything less than murder or attempted murder, they stay in juvenile court. That would be one way to approach it. I would approach it as a criminal defense attorney.
I guess you have to see, you know, Michael, the involvement of these teens. Were they all in there kicking and beating and stomping on this boy that was killed? I mean, it sounds like it was horrific. I mean, nobody stopped. Nobody, you know, as Darnell pointed out, nobody said, hey, enough. It sounds like they just joined in and herd mentality, I agree, and they all just got involved. But we have to see what was the level of involvement. Were they all, you know, right there in it? Were some standing by the sidelines? So I think that's what we'll see. Maybe some of the younger ones weren't quite as involved, and maybe you don't have the same level of culpability as some of the others. But nonetheless, 10 kids on one, it's it's horrible,
Yeah,
horrible,
it's-
and a horrible ending for all of them.
Yeah,
really.
absolutely. Exactly. I mean, it's the victim. I feel awful for him, but all those teens, the herd mentality, all of that, it's just mind-boggling. All right, stand by, folks. That's all we have time for in this particular segment, but coming up next.